Today we're talking about the 1994 1-ounce MS Silver Libertad. Stay tuned.
Your winner by unanimous decision, and still World Heavyweight Champion of the World, the Mexican Libertad! Ladies and gentlemen, your host, Titty Hunter!
Before we talk about the 94 Libertad, let's talk shop for a little bit. Everyone's still talking about it. Everyone's still asking questions. They're talking about the 2025 Libertads. What started as a tale of 300 mintage, allegedly, for the 1-ounce BU Libertads. And the story was, folks, certain dealers were going to go down there and pick them up in baggies. Next thing you know, it's transformed into, it's going to be 500 mintage, 1-ounce. Brilliant uncirculated mint state Libertads. Unfortunate for these folks, and fortunate for us, certain folks who are really, everyone's posting pictures and asking questions, but there's certain folks that are posting the pictures and making authoritative statements, even though Banco has not published anything yet on 2025 on their website with respect to mintages. They're publishing out these tables as if they were authoritative tables. I urge you to pay attention who's posting these things, because I want you to be cognizant of who it is, so you don't want to deal with these folks in the future. That's no way to run a ship. Luckily for us, they've gotten carried away with their hubris, posting videos, posting pictures, and some of us, I'm not going to share now, I was asked not to share, but some of us have captured these videos, zoomed in, and we caught them slipping. So already there's stuff in these videos that kind of expose that the truth is not being told. But as time goes on, everything comes out. The truth is always comes out over time. So I ask you, just be patient. I'm telling you, this is just a FOMO event, and they will be available. I do not get carried away. There's been some eBay auctions. There's been some Facebook group auctions out of Mexico, going for some excessive prices. Even on the reverse proof, it doesn't make sense what people are paying. They're going now paying above 2015 reverse proof prices, 2017 reverse proof prices. It makes no sense. You should not get caught up on the hype. Don't spend your money recklessly like that. Last thing I'll say on the 2025 before talking about what I'm showcasing here. I could see them now. They're going to go along with some change in narrative when Banco ultimately publishes the actual true numbers along the lines of, it was due to so much demand and public outcry, they decided to increase the mintage. But unfortunately, because of what they're showing off in videos, with excessive hubris, they've already told lies. Lies have been told, but that will come out with due time. What I'm showcasing here, I've talked about this book before in earlier videos. Here's the actual physical book, the Whitman's Encyclopedia of Mexican Money, Volume 2. And this work was done by Don Bailey, and he worked with a couple of folks I had not learned until I spoke with him extensively, and we started talking a lot on social media and on the phone. Scott Dahl was one of the folks, big numismatic collector of Mexican coins, and he helped Don in the early days of the manuscripts for these. I'm a huge fan of Volume 2 more than Volume 1 because Volume 2 focuses on the modern era. So there's an entire chapter dedicated to the Libertads. And all the information, I've shown a chart before of the characteristics of the Libertads, how they started as flat lettered edges, they went to reeded edges. In time too, the diameter of the Libertad has changed in size. The fonts have changed over time. And there's been the introduction of the antiqued versions for the 2018, 2019. The antique part's not in here because that came after when this was first published. But a lot of that other information is here. Great book, great storytelling, especially in this book. Um, and when I got this book, I overpaid for this book because apparently the folks at Whitman only published a very limited amount of these first time around. And it was last summer they decided that they were going to publish more and they started coming out. And I think that's a great thing for Mexican numismatics. I ended up paying over $100 for my copy on eBay several years ago, but I don't regret it because the other coins that I found that are in here from the modern era are absolutely spectacular. Uh, I highly recommend you pick up yourself a copy. The other thing I wanted to talk about this week, I was writing an article for the U.S. Mexican Numismatic Association. So this is a quarterly newsletter that gets put out there, and this group is now finally over 400 members. The story behind this group, it was actually started by Don Bailey back in the days. He was the editor of this publication. It was a lot different back then. It wasn't this glossy print. I mean, you could subscribe to this now in electronic format and pay less than actually the paper format here that you're seeing here. And so Scott Dahl, he's been writing articles for them quite a long time, and he got me into writing some articles. So I've been writing articles on the Pre-Columbian series, which I highly recommend. If you thought Libertads were low mintage, then Pre-Columbians will blow your mind. And I think they're really going to get a resurgence next year. Banco is planning to mint more modern. Well, they are part of the modern Mexican numismatics, but they're going to mint next year a brand new Pre-Columbian series. There was an earlier video I talked about that a couple months ago. They're calling it Pre-Hispanic instead of Pre-Columbian. Same thing. But yeah, I started writing because one of the things that stands out about this publication, I think it's what's driving the low growth rate of this group, of just having, when I first subscribed, the website would publish over 300 members, and now only in this year, halfway through this year, they increased the website, showing, there's over 400 members now. And I think one of the top reasons and why I started writing was, if you browse through one of these issues, the grand majority of them are all about old pre-modern coins, pre-modern banknotes. And what I'm noticing, a lot of the new collectors coming into Mexican numismatics, they're collecting Libertads. They're collecting modern coins, modern Mexican coins. So I kind of wanted to be kind of a change agent and start writing about modern coins, so it's not completely skewed towards old coins. The other nuance with old coins, and I think I only have one Mexican coin that's over 100 years old, and then I quickly shied away. What I realized, and Scott actually publishes that this is the newest issue up here. He published an issue, I forgot what the coins were, what the series was, but about detecting counterfeits. So that's a problem with pre-modern. There's a lot of counterfeits out there. Not saying Libertads does have its case of a counterfeit. The most well-known one is the 2008 1-ounce proof Libertad. There is a counterfeit version of it, but it is very easy to spot due to the font and how letters are spaced in the top of that coin. But yeah, this is something I've been working on, trying to help this group expand and have more of a focus on modern coins. All right, let's talk about the 94. This coin is actually just misses out on being in the top 10 in terms of scarce mintage. We first got into the top 10 when we talked about the 1991 Type 2, which is ranking at number 3 with approximately 50,000 mintage. And the 94 down here, it ranks at number 11, taking into consideration we have ties in the top 10. And so the 94 has 400,000 mintage. Pretty scarce. Now, if we take a look at the graded populations over at NGC, for 1994, we have 776 of them graded, with the top pop 69, and there's only just 26 of those. If we compare that to PCGS 1994 over here, we have 749 at PCGS. And interesting, they have 2469s. So 26 versus 2469s between the two grading companies. So as I keep recommending, before you're looking to buy, you want to come over to eBay. Over here on the left pane, you want to always turn on your sold items filter. So when you do a search for 1994 Silver Libertad, let me zoom this in. You'll get to see what they've been selling for. And so just scrolling through, we could start to see that somewhere around the 60s, this one crept into the 70s, 60s. So really around the 60s is what you're seeing the comps for the 1994 1-ounce Silver Libertad. I just wanted to show something else that I've illustrated before. Sometimes there are sellers who just are none the wiser and they don't use the word Libertad. So you may want to try something like 1994 Silver Onza and see if there's any different search results. And I'm still looking here at the sold comps, but there was one here at the bottom. This one right here, for example, $200 MS66 94 that sold. The word Libertad is not there in the title. So you can start using your imagination and think of how a seller might be careless in selling these coins. And you want to start expanding your search criteria and perhaps stumble upon some good opportunities out there. I certainly have, and I think you can too. And then over time, you start to figure out, okay, which search criteria starts to work, what generates good results, what generates bad results. And over time, you want to curate a specific saved searches that will then ping you with new search results when things show up under certain criteria. And that can really get out of hand quick, depending how many things you're looking for in the Mexican numismatic universe. I myself have at some point, I think I was at about 200 saved searches. I'm at less now as I've completed certain sets. I've started to kind of delete save searches or whatnot. But yeah, it can get out of hand over time. So, but that's a pro tip for you. Click that subscribe button for more data-driven coin analysis.